Hello, welcome. I'm Claudia if you're new here. Today we are going to do a Hoya care day. Frankly, it's mostly propagations and I think just one pot up, like formerly a propagation that's ready to be potted up into a more permanent situation. But I also have something I discovered that was quite unsavory on one of my most favorite Hoyas, so we'll tend to that one too. I also would like to do like a Hoya collection video at some point, so I thought this was a good starter so that I can get them set up and ready for that video, hopefully in the near future. So let's just get started. A tiny little bit of housekeeping. I just want to say thank you again so much for all your kind messages on my previous video where I asked about the fan noise. I mean, it just made my day to know that you enjoy my videos and regardless and just all your support, and I just want to say thanks. I actually lied. I just grabbed all the Hoya we're going to be working with, and I have one upsize. We're potting one up from propagation into a more permanent situation, and then we have two that we are propagating quite aggressively, and then the fifth one that's unsavory. And we're just going to do that one last because you'll see. Let's start with the propagations because those are pretty easy, straightforward. We'll get them out of the way, then we'll do the repots, and lastly we will do the unsavory one. We're gonna get started on chopping and propping this Hoya Polyneura silver. I never know if the camera catches this silver, just how nice it is, but this is like a true silver. I discovered this Hoya randomly browsing Instagram, and I had no idea that Polyneura came in a silver version, and I mean, it's so beautiful. So, shocking, I'm already making a mess. Silvery Hoyas are just so special, I think, and yeah, I'm just really excited to have it. I got this in a tiny, I think it was like 2 nodes, 2 leaves. I'll insert a photo of what it looked like when it arrived. It was rooted in leca, and I just immediately moved it into pon, and it's grown into this big thing. And I'll have to insert the date because I don't feel like I've had it very long. My experience with Hoya Polyneura is that she is a very fast grower, doesn't require a ton of light, pretty easy going. My only thing is it is more thirsty than your like thicker leaved Hoyas, which is why I opted to put this in pon so that I didn't have to worry as much about potentially underwatering. But yeah, I love her, and we're gonna chop her back quite aggressively so that hopefully I can get a nice full pot of the silver poly. I am thinking, this is all one vine, by the way, that has split into 3, which is another very cool thing about Hoya Polyneura, is that it just kind of self propagates, branches out. I'm not really sure what the term is, but that's something that I think is very cool. Okay, so on this, I guess we'll start on this one. We're just gonna chop about right here. Also, I don't know what this yellow new growth point is because that is like brand new and it came out like that, and I was initially like, oh my gosh, is that gonna be a peduncle? But I think it's just another vine that it's splitting into, but I don't know why it's yellow like that. I don't think I've noticed them. Okay, I'm just gonna chop them first, and then we will come back and do like the individual chops. We'll also go about right here on this one. And then, I mean, I don't want to shock the plant. Do we leave this one? I think maybe we leave this one. Just also, it's like the prettiest one and the fullest one. So I think we leave it. I think I feel good about that. And then we're just gonna cut these into individual nodes. The sap on these is less than pleasant. I'm gonna leave the top cut as two nodes. And then same with this one, I'll leave the top cut as 2. And I'm just gonna set these aside and then let some of this milky sap just dry out for a minute. And let's chop our next one. The next chop is my New Guinea Ghost, and I wanna chop this because ideally I wanna transition this into Pawn. I find her, she's always thirsty. I think I mentioned this when I upsized her. I just can never, she's just always thirsty. Like, it doesn't matter how frequently I water her or what I do. She's always just, I don't know, I just can't keep up. And I know that she came in like a super compacted mix and I just plopped and filled. So I'm sure that might be part of the problem, but there's no way that I'm getting that mix off, especially like Hoya roots are so sensitive. So I would rather just give this a really aggressive chop and transition that new plant into Pawn. Okay, she's so cute. So we're gonna go pretty aggressive on this one, I think. Even more so. I don't even know where to start. Okay, we are just gonna go right here, I guess. So here's one. Yeah, she's just always thirsty. Like, I don't know, I just cannot keep up. Yeah, we're leaving this mother plant pretty bare. I'm happy leaving her like this. And she needs water. So we'll water her too, I guess. And then here. This is confusing. I don't know what was this is the top, okay. So let's chop right here. 1 node, there's a gnat. 2 nodes. Okay. And then, I don't know what was the top or the bottom on this one. My guess is I will want to leave all of that. I'm not really sure these cuts I'm making here because it's so confusing. I do find her to be pretty fast growing, so that's good. But like I said, I do have that issue. Please don't ask my rhyme or reason of where I'm making these cuts because I don't know. Okay. I decided I'm gonna root all of these in stratum because, well, you know that I love stratum, but also I just find the Hoya roots super beautifully in stratum, so why mess with it? some of these a little bit more. I might do the two top cuts separately. I don't know. Maybe I can just stick them on either side. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. I am gonna send all of these over to my grow rack. I mentioned this a few times, but I do just find it better to, like, I just kind of make my rounds at the same time, top any off at the same time that needed, and it just works for me to just kind of have them in the same place. Shoot. There, that should be good. If you don't have a Hoya Polyneura silver, I highly recommend. They're very cute. Now, I feel like these are gonna get pretty messy. Starting with the fact that I'm not even sure where the growth points are, or like what side was what. Let me cut this again. Oh my gosh. I'm already getting overwhelmed at the messiness with this one. Okay. You can do this. Let me know if you have a guinea ghost, what it's like for you. Even with, like, you know, it always being thirsty and everything, I feel like it's hardy because basically I'm always underwatering it and it's still always growing, so that's a good sign. I'll probably just do 2 cups for these. Okay, so this is cup number 1. I think this was like one of the top growth points, so I just decided to leave it. And then these are a little more like floret types. I wonder if I just try to bury them. How do growers do this? Okay, the bearing method seemed to work on that one. And that one. Maybe that's what I should have done. Okay, wait. Okay, highly recommend the bearing method. I feel like that worked really well. Okay, so we have the 2 little cups of the New Guinea Ghost, the 1 cup of the Polyneura Silver. I will clean up a little bit of this mess, and then we will pot up the 2, and then we'll move on to the other one. There is a sequence we have to go in next because this Hoya lacunosa silver coin mint, I believe is the name, urgently needs a repot, and I'm hoping to use this pot for the next one. Look at all of these roots. I've been seeing them for a while, and it dries up in here pretty quickly. This was an import sometime last year, but yeah, it's done very, very nicely. It needs a trellis upgrade as well as just a bigger home, so we're gonna give it that today. I really love this plant. I think it's so pretty. So it should be hopefully pretty easy pop and fill situation. I'm gonna use one of these pots. They have the little window, the clear reservoir, and then they do work on a wick, and I lost whatever wick that came with, so we're getting some a new strand. Okay, so this is all ready, and I am gonna switch up this trellis, so I'm just not really sure if I should remove the trellis now or after I pot it up. Probably now? I don't know. I think I'm gonna do it after, just for the sake of like less mess, hopefully. This is Pon and this is Lechuza Pon, and I think that this is like the last I have of it. So I really need more. Here we go. Oh my god, it didn't even occur to me it might lose some of these roots. I have water that I'm gonna need for the next one. Just see if it'll loosen some of these up. Honestly, it doesn't look like it. Hoya roots just tend to be so sensitive in my experience that I am worried about yanking. Oh, okay, most of them came off. Great. Perfect. Just need to get the wick. Place this in here. And fill this empty up. Wasn't so bad, could have been worse. Now, I have some of these butterfly pins on them. We're gonna remove that and switch to the trellis. I'm using the same trellis. These are by Arca Propagation Diaries, the Arca trellis. And I love them because they are clear and they just kind of blend in and allow your plant to shine. But I'm gonna use the bigger version of it, which is also good because then I can use this one for another Hoya. She's grown so much. I can't believe it. We'll chop off this little dry bit at the end. That probably happened from underwatering. Okay. So now that I got the trellis out, I do want to water it just to give it a little bit more stability in here. This is the new trellis, which is exactly the same. Oh. I mean, I guess I could have kept it in there. I do have a circle trellis, but I really want to use this one instead. So I guess I'm just going to use this one. And then just wrap it around more times. Oh my gosh, I could have just left it in there this whole time. How ridiculous of me. It's okay. It happens. I've heard people say that you're supposed to wind the vines counterclockwise. I honestly can't tell you if that's true or not. I've always just wound them up, however, and they've always been fine. So I don't know if there's truth to that or not. I mean, I guess it can't hurt. Oh my gosh, it's so tangled. I need to see the front to see what I'm doing. Okay, she's looking pretty messy, to be honest. Here we go. But I think I'll wait for her to hydrate and then see what she really looks like. I do love her. I think she's a beautiful plant, and maybe I just need to think about a different kind of trellis that's going to better hold her. But she's a little thirsty right now. I'm going to, or I did just water her. She has a ton of peduncles. I don't know if you can see this one very well, but she has a lot of peduncles. She is kind of a like prominent fast bloomer, and she clearly has a back and a front because look, and it's my doing, but that's okay. I don't mind that. Okay, so hopefully when she plumps up, we can get a better idea of what she's gonna look like, but I love her. I think she's such a beautiful plant. I rinsed off this pot, and we're just gonna use the same wick. And the plant we are working with is the intervariegated Hoya Bella. I've had this for a long time, and it was honestly like on the brink of death for a very, very, very long time until I chopped it. And I think I chopped it with you. And I just placed it in stratum. It lived in the same spot. I actually can't see that many roots, but I know that these roots are very like thin, like most Hoya, but it's grown a ton since being in here, so I think that it's ready to be potted up. And I'm also gonna place it in pond because it was initially, I think, in just a cocoa husk mix, and it was just always, again, just always on the brink of death. Oh yeah, I see lots of nice healthy roots. And I brought some water to break these up. They're really stuck in there. This honestly like turned such a corner the second I started propagating these cuttings. The mother plant didn't make it. I was already, I mean, I'm not surprised. It was not looking good to begin with, and yeah, it's just what it is. It happens. But this is doing, like, I think I had the mother plant for over a year, and it was, again, struggling, not doing well. And then in just such a short amount of time, these cuttings have done so well. So it was for sure a watering issue. I wasn't getting that right. Some of the stratum made it in there. So I'm gonna keep it in semi-hydro pond, and I think that's gonna be the best bet. I was wondering about its position, but I think it looks good. Yeah, it looks good in there. And we'll just water it through. I really can't believe the comeback this has made, because it just, I thought I was gonna lose the plant, honestly. Look how cute she looks in here. I'm so excited to finally have her in a spot where I can actually like grow and show her off, and then like maybe she'll bloom for me someday. I also thought that maybe she just really wasn't growing because there's so little green and so much of like that inner variegation. But after chopping it and propping it and see how much it grew in such a short amount of time, I know that it was just not properly intaking nutrients. It was dehydrated too often. Like, it was for sure an environmental and care issue versus the plant. So yeah, I'm so excited to have her. I decided to switch to voiceover for this last Hoya, and you'll see pretty soon why. But this is my Hoya Polyneura inner variegated. This was such a wish list plant for me for so long, and I finally acquired it last year. It'd been living in my Millsbo tall cabinet for most of the time, and I did switch it. I got it as a cutting, and I believe it came in stratum, so I switched it to pond once it had enough roots. And honestly, it's definitely the slowest grower out of all the Polyneuras that I have, and I attributed that to the variegation. But most importantly, as of recent, it was kind of just looking sickly, like very yellowish, bleached, and I thought maybe it was getting too much light in the cabinet. So I had been thinking about chopping and propping it, and as I was handling it and realized like, oh, this might actually also need a repot, I saw what you see now, which is the powdery stuff all over the roots and the wick, which I can only assume is root mealies. I don't know what else it would possibly be. So that's disgusting. Now, from my understanding, thankfully root mealies can't transfer into being like plant mealies, like they're two different types of mealies, I believe, but frankly, I'm not super sure or versed on this. So I am dealing with this the best way I know how for my peace of mind. I'm sure that I could have just removed all the pon and treated the roots, maybe trimmed accordingly, but instead I am just chopping this completely back to the base. I'm chopping up to like individual nodes. I did decide to keep some of the top cuttings as like 2 or 3 nodes that had just like really beautiful leaves on them. And then I'm chucking the rest of the plant, including the pot and the pon. Like, for my peace of mind, I just feel like that's what's best and what I needed to do. I'd love to know if you've dealt with them, how you've dealt with them before. I'm also just a little mind blown, like, where did these come from? Because like I said, this came in stratum and then I moved it to pon, and I checked all of the other plants in the cabinet or like from what I can see, and I couldn't see anything suspicious. So knock on wood, everything is fine with the rest of those plants. But yeah, I just decided to chop this all in mostly individual nodes. As you see, I spray them, or like I pour some just like rubbing alcohol 70% proof right on them. And then after, I took all the cuttings into the shower and I poured my DIY pest repellent all over them, let them soak for like 10-ish minutes before I added the cuttings into stratum. And I decided I'm placing them in a little dome situation, not because they need the extra humidity per se, although it won't hurt since they're cuttings and they're rooting, but mostly because I don't want any potential pest or this root mealy or whatever to transfer onto any of the other plants that I have in the grow rack. I'm also gonna place them at the very top of the grow rack that actually doesn't have any grow lights, but I think that I'll just feel better. But there's a skylight over there, so I'll just feel better if they're away from the rest of the plants for now and see how it goes. I did inspect the leaves and I didn't see anything on any of the leaves or the stems or anything, but you can see the plant overall didn't look very healthy. And again, I can only assume that was the situation. Pretty gross, but hopefully that's all taken care of, and hopefully I will just end up with a very beautiful, bushy, inner variegated Hoya Polyneura at the end. I hope all that made sense, because honestly, like, I still feel a little bit like in shambles about the situation, and I went and I took care of it over in the kitchen because I wanted easy access to the sink to wash my hands or wash any of the things that I was using. I did just now at the end spray alcohol on the mat, wiped it down, and then sprayed some more, and I'm gonna let it air dry there just in case there's anything that got around. And maybe I'm being over the top, but frankly, that's usually me when I'm dealing with pests. I wanna make sure that they're absolutely gone and not give them a chance to creepy crawl anywhere else or linger. So this brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for spending your time with me as usual. Please let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you watched it all the way through. Drop me an emoji or something. If you have any suggestions or any video requests you'd love to see, please leave them down below, and I will see you very soon. Bye.